I'm calling for the UFO Reporting Center in Seattle, Washington. We understand that a state trooper attached to your office had a UFO experience 1 or 2 nights ago. Could you give us any information on that?
I can't give you any information. It wasn't during my shift. I had a call from San Francisco, but he hasn't been in our area tonight. He's been in Cut Bank, which is 40-some miles away.
What was his name?
Alan.
And he is working in the Cut Bank area?
Yeah, he's stationed out of Conrad. He lives right here in town.
Oh, I see.
But he went to Cut Bank. His sergeant is in Cut Bank, and they had some kind of a... they were up there this evening, I know. I haven't heard from him since about 8 o'clock this evening.
Okay, well, did his experience take place in the Cut Bank area?
No, in Conrad area.
In Conrad. Yeah. Will you be seeing him or hearing from him this evening?
Well, he works till midnight. He should be going home before I go off shift, but I can't promise that either.
Okay, could you pass a message on if you do see him? Ask him to call the UFO Reporting Center in Seattle. We'd like to hear about his experience. Do you people have us listed there?
I don't believe so.
I know we sent literature to your office. I don't know whether it got down to the dispatcher or not.
I don't think it got to the dispatchers. You know, it's gotten to the point where so many people are afraid to report these things, you know.
Well,
We've had others that have reported it to us 2 nights after that. I had a couple of parties report it to me.
Well, if you hear of anything, I mean, if calls come into you direct, would you consider referring the people to us? Or would that be beyond policy?
No. If they would call you, that's the UFO Center?
The UFO Reporting Center, yes.
Yeah, I'll put the note up.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye. We understand you had a UFO experience on October 9th while on patrol.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get a description of just exactly what you saw.
Well, yeah. A round white light, fairly large size. I really don't know how large because I don't know how close I was to it, to tell you the truth, you know, exactly.
Yes.
It appeared to possibly have a red light, a real small red light on each side of it, but I couldn't tell whether it was the infraction from the white light or whether, really was a red one.
Uh-huh.
But it appeared to have a red light on each side now. Whether we just couldn't see all of it or whether it was just a faint glow running all the way around it or something, I really don't know.
Well, now, just starting right from the beginning, how did you happen to see this object?
Well, I was coming back from Deputy, which is just about straight west of Conrad, about 25 miles. I was on Old 89, and I was coming down, and I had a truck accident that held me up out there till about 4 in the morning. Anyway, I was started back. As a matter of fact, I was just south of the truck accident, which was 3 miles south of Deputy. And I spotted this light off to the east of me, to my left, as I was coming south. And I didn't really pay too much attention to it at first, but I got to looking at it, and I thought, gee, it's kind of funny at 4 o'clock in the morning to be anybody. Looked like, a possibility of a helicopter.
Yes.
Then I got to thinking, well, we've had a bunch of these cattle mutilations around here, Well, they've had them all over the country, I guess.
Yes.
I thought, aha, just what I'm looking for. I'll just kind of follow him and see what he's doing, Thinking at the time that it was a helicopter. And so I followed it down 89 until I got to the Pendroy Road, which is secondary 219, which turns and goes east, and then I followed it east. It was out ahead of me, though. But when I did turn onto the Pendroy Road, it did cross over the Pendroy Road, and then it was to the south of the Pendroy Road. And I followed it down until I got right into Conrad here, which is where I live, and then I followed it. I went back then south on Old 91 a little ways, and then when I got up by the Interstate 15, where the Midway Road crosses over it, why then it looked like I was getting pretty close to it, so I thought, well, I'll head out that way a little ways. So I went out about a mile and a half, 2 miles, and it stopped. You know, it was traveling about the same speed as whatever I was traveling.
Yes.
And it stopped, and I thought, well, I'll get just a little bit closer, because I was interested to hear what the sound was. You know, a helicopter, you can usually hear quite a ways away, and it was pretty calm. So I went a little bit closer, and then when I stopped, I was going to jump out and see if I could hear anything. Well, before I just got stopped, and before I could get out, the thing, it didn't turn around or anything, you know, it was just sitting there, and it dropped in elevation about 3 times and just was really coming towards me. Really weird. And I watched it, you know, at the time when it started to make the move, because I was kind of surprised when I was looking for that tail light or some change in the light, you know, when like a helicopter makes a turnaround.
Yes.
And it never did make any. It just sat there, and then when it came, it just shot right straight towards me and dropped in elevation that I saw 3 times. And once I turned around, I went back to the interstate, which is only 2 miles. And this friend of mine was watching it too, and he says the same thing. It just dropped in altitude real fast. It came right towards me.
Was there any change in the color while it was doing that?
No. It stayed exactly the same. At least, you know, of course, you get a little bit excited, you know, and I'm sure that it didn't change, though.
Yes.
And as far as the red, I can't recall whether I saw the red at that point or not, you know, when it was coming down towards me. But the white light stayed, you know, just about exactly the same. I never noted any change on it at all. But it must have dropped down to about 500 feet. Was probably about as low as it got. I'm just guessing that, too, because I don't know how big the light was.
Yes.
But when I stopped the interstate, it stopped. And it appeared to be just about over the spot where I had stopped. And that was as close as we ever got to it. As soon as the other fellow came up with the other car, then it just, you know, just acted like it didn't want anything to do with it. It raised in elevation, went way up, and then it went east.
I see.
And then it went way, way up. It stayed up, and it, you know, just went up, and it just stayed there. And it just went up to the point where it just stayed in a stationary position, whether it was moving or not. It couldn't really detect anyway. But
well, now, do you have any estimate regarding the closest distance that it got to you?
I would say my estimate was about 2 miles.
And you never did pick up any sound?
No noise. And when I got back to the interstate, you know, I got out and I listened. Because now it couldn't have been over 2 miles at that point, or at least appeared not to be any farther than that. And I couldn't hear a thing. I mean, it was just dead still.
Did you have any problem with your radio at the time?
No, nothing whatsoever. No problem with the lights or anything else. No.
Okay. And this, when you first spotted it, it was in the eastern sky. And what part of the sky was it in the last time you saw it?
At the last?
Right.
Oh, boy. Well, it was pretty high. And it would have been southeast of Conrad. And I would say that it was about oh, golly, let's see. I'm going to take a look out here and see. Must have been about 1/4 of the way up on the sky.
I see.
Maybe not quite that far.
How was the weather conditions that night?
It was clear. There was no moon. It was real dark. And that, you know, if there had been a moon, there would have been a possibility of maybe seeing some shape or something. But the only thing there was stars out, and it was just black, you know. It was just a plain old dark night.
Yes.
And I kept trying to see if I could see anything, you know, but I just couldn't see nothing. I had spotted one time before, in 67.
Oh, yes.
Just west of Cutbank, about 3 miles. And that one had 3 lights on it, 3 big lights. And if I recall, one of those was clear.
I see.
One was red and one was maybe green. It's been quite a long time ago now. And that thing sat almost directly over me on the road, and I stopped. And to this day, I don't know what it was. There was absolutely no noise whatsoever with that one.
Uh-huh.
It's really strange.
Well, now, this one that you saw on the night, how long would you say you observed that?
I observed it from about 4 o'clock until about 6:30.
And at all times, this thing was traveling in various directions and appearing at various...
Yeah, it would raise and lower, you know, in elevation. And now, from about, let's see, from about 5, let me think now, yeah, about 5 on, it didn't appear to do anything. You know, it just went up and it just sat there, just like it was just, well, like a star, you know.
Yeah, that was the point.
It's a lot brighter than a star.
Where you watched it from the freeway?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Now, did this, when you were following the object, did it any time pass across the highway in front of you? Any time in the roadway?
Yeah, but it was a long ways ahead of me at that point. You know, we're at Penroy Road.
Yes.
Now, it had been, you know, it was quite a ways ahead of me.
But there was no question in your mind of the fact that this thing was moving and maneuvering?
Oh, right. No, there's no doubt.
Okay.
Well, that's the way this one was I saw in 67. Now, I drove right up underneath it almost. I didn't figure it was over 300 feet. It was, the lights on the bottom were illuminating enough light that you could see the aluminum, whatever, you know, aluminum colored.
The fuselage?
Body of it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't make out any shape on it either, other than the fact that the lights were in a triangle.
I see.
And they were big lights. They're a lot bigger lights than any aircraft. And it just sat there, and then it took off real slow, probably doing only about 30, 35 miles an hour.
Yes.
Headed in a southwesterly direction from Cut Bank there. And I kept watching it and watching it. And that thing just, all of a sudden, it just took off. And boy, I mean, it was really going. Yeah. Those lights just went right down to just flip. They were gone.
Yes. Well, now, this last one that you saw, did it have any given shape of any kind?
Just the light is all I
Just
see.
a bright light.
Round. Appeared to be round, anyway. And it appeared to be on the bottom of something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't up on the side where it was shining right in your eyes. It was on the bottom, but it was pretty intense.
But you couldn't make out any silhouette of a hulk of any kind?
Nothing.
Okay. And there were other people who saw this?
Yeah, there was 2 other people that saw it.
I see.
Several other sightings. As a matter of fact, some lady from up around Browning had her car lights and everything go out, I guess. The thing was hovering right over her.
This was recently?
Yeah. From up around Browning. Let's see, I was trying to think. You know, did you hear that? Yeah, maybe they didn't give her a first name or something, but I know that was not just shortly after I had mine.
I see.
And of course, there's been several other sightings. They've been, yeah, KSEN radio in Shelby would know. They're the ones that carried the news story.
KSEM?
Yes.
In Shelby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, sir, we sure appreciate
I was going to give you a call. It's kind of my fault, too. And I never got around to it there. I should have given you a buzz because you left a phone number for me to call, or somebody did anyway.
Right. Well, we sure appreciate hearing from you in the event anything else should happen in your area.
Okay. Well, we'll try to keep in touch with you.
Fine. Thank you very much.
Anything that's worth anything since then.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
This came over at 10:08 over the Associated Press.
10:08.
Let me just read you the story first.
Okay.
I'll just read it through verbatim and then I can go back and hit all the top points. 2 cows were slaughtered and mutilated about the same time. A mysterious group of more than 50 UFO people apparently camped nearby, officials said today. Lake Villa police said animals were left on a farm about 10 miles from here, that is Fox Lake, where the mysterious band is believed to have stayed October 2nd through October 7th. Police said 1 cow was found dead October 1st, the second killed 4 days later. Group made up mostly of persons who left homes in Oregon, Colorado, and California, etc., etc. Lake Villa Police Chief Al Copenhaver as it sounds, said only the head of the first cow, a Black Angus heifer, remained, while the rest of the carcass seemed to have been butchered by persons wanting meat. Copenhagen said the second cow, a Holstein heifer, looked as if it had been beaten to death. The animal's left ear was severed and missing. Some of the mutilations in western states' lips had been removed, etc., etc. The UFO cult is believed to have camped 5 days in the Chain O Lakes. In other words, Chain O Lakes, but it's O apostrophe. Chain O Lakes State Park, 45 miles northwest of Chicago. Quote, a group of about 50 persons took out camping permits October 2nd, suddenly disappeared October 7th. According to Mick Egan, the park's head ranger, it was about that time the story broke, about 20 persons disappeared in Oregon, etc. According to Egan, a man on October 2nd signed a camping permit as J. Siegel, Cherry Creek, California, and said that others would follow. And then they just go into some speculation, from a very, what he thought.
Yes.
Stuff that really has no real bearing. Let me go back from the top again here. Get your pencil out, as it were.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, it's Fox Lake, Illinois. Yeah, it'll be in the paper tomorrow morning. But Lake Villa Police, animals left on a farm 10 miles from Fox Lake, Illinois. One cow dead. October 1st it was found. The second one was killed 4 days later. That'll be October 5th. The Lake Villa Police Chief is Al Copenhaver, Copenhaver. Only the head of the first cow was found. That was a Black Angus heifer. The rest of the carcass was butchered by persons wanting meat.
Well, only that's in the area where the cold is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second cow, a Holstein heifer, looked as if it had been beaten to death. Then they go into a bit here.
Right.
What had happened previously in the western states. Mick Egan, the park's head ranger, said group of about 50 took out camping permits October 2nd and suddenly disappeared on the 7th. And Egan said that a man on October 2nd signed a camping permit as J. Siegel, S-E-A-G-L-E, Cherry Creek, California.
Okay.
No, we got a typo here. A couple of eyewitnesses, Charlene Petrovic.
Petrovic?
Yes, I can't give you a proper spelling on it yet. They haven't corrected the typo on it.
I see.
It looks like Petrovic. And her husband of Waukegan. They were camping at the park when the group was there, and they said they didn't look or act like campers. They kept to themselves, sitting around together and doing nothing. On October 6th, when the story was out about people vanishing in Oregon, the group seemed very excited. They milled around the ranger office. I heard a voice say, "I knew I made a mistake when I wrote my mother from Colorado to tell her I joined the group." Then this Mrs. Petrovic says, the next day they were all gone.
Uh-huh. Very good.
Add another strange one to the vast pile of mysterious goings on.
Yeah. Well, we sure appreciate this.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else comes over, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Bye.
Bye.
We understand that you had a very spectacular experience on October 23rd.
Yes, I did.
I wonder if it would be possible to get a description of what happened and what you saw, and starting with the events which led up to it.
Oh, let's see. What do you mean with the events that led up to it?
Well, just prior to what you were doing, just before you sighted the object.
Oh, I was visiting with my in-laws in Puyallup.
Uh-huh.
And I left there, and as I was coming home, I saw it up in the sky.
Okay, now could we get a complete description of just exactly what you saw and all the events that were associated with it?
Okay. I don't know the direction to it, but it was coming from, say, Eatonville towards Puyallup.
Uh-huh.
And it was red and kind of bluish-green lights. And they were just flashing very, very fast. Not flashing, that isn't the right word, but they weren't going off and on. They were kind of swishing. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And it was sort of horseshoe-shaped, kind of oblong, but no end on it. And at the end, in the center, was a red light. And it wasn't flashing or anything.
I see.
And it would stay still. Oh, when I first saw it, it was just sitting still up in the sky. But now, somebody wrote a thing in the paper, and he said it was as low as a jet coming into the airfield. But that was wrong, because I never even told him that. He just said it.
Yes.
But it wasn't as... It was higher than what a chopper would fly, that they've been flying around here. And it was lower than jet, because I could see the outlines of jets, and there was no outline of this at all.
I see.
And, let's see, as it was coming towards my car, I was going down 160th, and it was coming across the 160th. And it would stay still, and then it would just shoot really fast. And then it would stop, and then it would shoot. It would stay still. I can't really say for how long, but at least 10 seconds, I'd say, before it would move again.
Uh-huh.
And as it was above my car and I couldn't see it, my car, I didn't lose control of the car, but it was like if I was having a flat tire and the spark plugs weren't working. That's how I thought of it later. Because it just was kind of like it was missing really bad, only a little bit stronger than that.
Yes.
And I didn't feel that if I let go of the wheel that I'd lose control of it, but felt like it was almost going to lose control if I had let go. I can't really describe that, but...
Did it feel like someone was trying to turn the wheel opposite to the way you wanted it to go?
No, it was just like, well, maybe, but not really like that. It was kind of like it was locked, sort of. It wasn't locked because I could steer the car, but it was kind of like it was hard to steer.
Was the engine running at full RPMs? I mean, was it running normally, other than the missing, as though it was missing?
Well, I was only going about 35 miles an hour or so.
I see.
I'd slowed down.
Yes.
But the speed limit was only about 45, I think, on that road. But I'd slowed down, and I have a gear shift, but I had it in a slow enough or low enough gear that it wasn't. I wasn't driving in too high of a gear for the speed I was going or anything like that.
Yes.
And that was just for the few seconds it was over my car, and then it, as it moved again, we could see it on the other side of the car, and then it just was gone after that.
I see.
It didn't, stand still and then, keep on moving in the direction it was heading. It was just gone.
Okay. How close would you say it got to you?
I'm a terrible judge at feet. I just don't have any idea. The only thing I can know, it was just higher than a helicopter that usually flies around here Fort Lewis way.
Yes.
That's as far as, that's the only thing I could judge it to. It was much higher than a tree, or, but the reason I knew it was different was because I've always watch the airplanes and all, and you could always see the outline of an airplane with the, landing lights on or whatever, or even if you could always see the outline, and there wasn't any outline. Someone told me it was probably parachutes because they were having some people jumping out of choppers and whatnot, I guess, from Fort Lewis, but it was absolutely not that, because they just fall, and these just didn't. This stayed, it never got any lower unless it did over my car. Of course, I couldn't see it then, and I was just with my two girls, so I was afraid to stop the car because it's kind of a lonely street.
Did they get a better look at it than you?
Who?
Your daughters?
No. We were all together. My oldest one is 5 or 6.
Oh, I see.
So, but we all saw it. The same exact thing.
Yes.
Of course, now she sees them when she sees the airplane. She thinks it's about the same. Oh, quit. But I came home and I called my brother-in-law because I wasn't scared, but it was kind of a exciting kind of feeling. And I called my brother-in-law that lived just a little ways from me and told him about it and convinced him enough that he went out to see it. And after he went out to see it, he saw it, and he said there were other people on the road also.
I see.
Then, at that time, looking at it. But when I was coming down the road, there wasn't anybody on the road. But that's the only thing I can think of. There wasn't any noise from it at all. We had our windows down and had the radio off and everything. And
did you have any unusual physical feelings at the time?
no.
Such as a tingling sensation anywhere in the body or numbing sensation?
No, I didn't notice anything like that. But I can't describe my feelings especially because it was so exciting,
Yes.
But I didn't have a scared feeling, like with butterflies in my stomach, anything like that. It was just more of kind of like amazement and all,
Yes.
But I couldn't stop talking about it all night. Even to myself, I just kept thinking, my God, I couldn't believe it.
Would there be any possibility of our having a personal interview with you?
Oh, sure.
Because we would like to go through this thoroughly and get a drawing and a map of the area and so forth where this happened. Well, incidentally, we got your number from your father, so...
Oh,
because we had heard about this story through the Eatonville newspaper to begin with. And inasmuch as we're getting what appears to be repeated cases of these close approaches to cars, why we're more than interested in what you had seen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had called somebody in Seattle that the Air Force had given me the number, and the gal that answered the phone said, well, I don't have anything to do with those. Hung up on me.
Oh, really? In Seattle?
But then after I talked to the guy up in Eatonville, the reporter, he said that somebody had called the same people I had called only in Olympia. I can't remember the number. It was...
Well, that must have been Civil Defense in Olympia.
Oh, but seemed to me it was something like some kind of emergency.
Right, Office of Emergency Preparation, right.
And so I just assumed I'd got the wrong number or somebody, because McCord didn't handle them.
Yes.
And I didn't really know who to report it to,
Well, they were supposed to forward all such calls to us, but they have such a turnover of personnel there that they just can't seem to keep up with it.
Well, I called McCord back again and asked her, she said, no, that was the only number she had, so, I just figured somebody, or the Vince guy, but he would know who to contact and all. We have a picture here that the reporter in Eatonville drew for us. Is what it, or I told him what it looked like, then he drew it on a cardboard so they could take a picture of it.
Right.
But that was exactly what it looked like. In fact, my brother-in-law drew a picture, and I drew a picture, then we compared them. We both saw the same thing.
Oh, very good.
So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll talk to you about 1 o'clock Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, fine.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye. And we understand that you had made 2 sightings of unidentified flying objects on the night of October 31st and November 1st.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get a description of your experience of both of those things.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, just as it happened to you right from the beginning.
Well, going over around about 8:15 that Friday night, I was over there by Clearwater Junction, and I saw what appeared to be an airplane dropping down behind the mountain.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately stopped there at the junction and turned it into the Deer Lodge County Sheriff. And they sent some planes out looking for it. And they couldn't find anything, I found out. But on my way over, after I got to thinking about it, it was moving too fast to be an airplane. So I just figured it was a meteor or something.
Yes. What did this object look like?
Well, that time I couldn't really tell. All I could see was green.
Uh-huh.
Green light. Flashing.
Just all green?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea how far away it was?
Well, it was approximately between 5 and 7 miles, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
And then, when I was coming back from Helena, I was over there northwest of Helena a little ways, and just starting to pull the pass, getting ready to pull the pass. I was about a mile from the bottom of it. And everything on the truck was working fine, no problems whatsoever, and all of a sudden my lights went out, and my engine shut off. Well, this will happen if a battery cable breaks on one of the things. So I just, started coasting to a stop. And then this damn thing come over the top of me and hovered he stopped about 100 yards ahead of me there and 50 feet off the ground. That's where they held me.
Just it was hovering right over the highway?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, would you give us a description of that object as detailed as you can?
Well, it's approximately 50 feet in diameter, and I'd say 25 or 30 feet high.
Uh-huh.
It had a big bubble-like object on top and a smaller one on the bottom, which is where the real bright white searchlight was that they had on me.
Oh, they were directing a beam of light on you?
Yeah.
Okay. What color was that beam?
White.
Okay.
And then on the outside edge, there's 4 green flashing lights, which I assume is the same thing that I saw at Clearwater Junction 4 hours before.
And the object just remained stationary over the highway at all times?
Yeah.
Approximately how long was it there?
I'd say 5 minutes.
Okay, now when it left, did it take off with just a casual motion, or was it high speed?
Oh, real high speed.
I see.
Yeah, faster than anything I've ever seen move.
And how far away do you figure it was from you?
100 yards.
Okay. Did you hear any sound?
Real loud turbine-like sound, like big turbines on a plane or something of this order.
Okay.
But there was no turbulence from it.
Okay, now, what color was the object itself?
I'd say a shiny gray or silver color.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't see it too good on account of the light shining in my eyes.
I see, okay.
But before they turned that on to me, it appeared to be silverish gray or in that category.
Okay, how long was the object hovering in front of you before they turned that shaft of light on to you?
Just a few seconds.
Okay, now did they turn that off before the object left?
No, it was still on when I saw him go to the top of the mountain.
I see, okay. Now how about that bubble top? Was there any light coming from it?
Well, that's what I could see. Like I say, that bright light was so damn bright that I didn't look into it just a little bit, just long enough to make my eyes burn.
I see. In other words, this this light that they were directing on you was actually diffusing your vision then?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, those colored lights, were they stable or were they moving at all?
Well, they were staying still, you know, but they were flashing.
Flashing off and on?
Yeah.
Did it seem to have any pattern? Were they in unison or sequence at all?
Yeah, I don't know what you'd call it. They all seem to have a pattern in which they was flashing.
Did they flash?
On, and then the one that was right behind it would come on, and then one to the side would come on, you know. And
then it would just continue that sequence?
Yeah.
Okay. How far off of the highway was this object?
50 feet above the ground.
Okay. Now, while you were sitting there and watching this, did you have any unusual physical feelings at all?
Not while I was sitting there. After the thing left, I felt like supernatural powers, you know.
Uh-huh.
Like I felt like I could have picked up the world and threw it over my shoulder.
I see. Okay.
But I've talked to guys that are paramedics and whatnot, and they say this is from the adrenaline moving in my system so fast that the system couldn't take it.
Okay.
I don't know how much truth there is to it.
Well, did this experience frighten you?
Frighten me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have the feeling by any chance while all this was occurring that you were being watched?
Yeah. I had the feeling that they were, you might say, checking me out, you know.
Yes.
The truck I drive, I pull a big tank, and I'm kind of under the, well, I don't know if you call it impression or what, but to the effect that if I haul bulk cement, the powdered stuff, and I kind of think they were just checking my load out to see, checking me and plus the load to see if it was an energy supplying or a source of energy.
Yes. Were you carrying the same load on the previous sighting?
I was empty then.
Okay.
I was going over to get my load.
Did you ever get out of the truck while this was going on?
Well, I started to. I had the door open, but it just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of froze right there in the seat.
Did you have the impression that maybe this object had something to do with you staying in the truck?
No.
Okay. Now, did you have any physical feelings such as tingling sensation or numbing in any part of your body?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Have you had any physical defects or mental problems since this has happened to you?
Not that I can say, no. I think about it all the time, you know, but other than that...
Have you dreamt about it at all?
Yes.
Okay. Are you dreaming just a reoccurrence of what you experienced?
Yeah, that, and then I get to dreaming about what might have happened, you know, to me.
Yes.
I do this quite often.
Okay. Were there any other witnesses besides yourself?
No.
You were the only one. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when that object was hovering over the highway, did it have any motion or movement of any kind?
No, it just stopped there as if it was hanging from, you know, strings or something. It didn't move a bit.
And how long was that under observation again?
About 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, okay.
It stopped my watch for that long anyway.
It did?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have that watch checked out for magnetic problems at all?
No, I didn't. It seems to be running all right now.
Were you playing a radio in the truck at the time?
Yes.
Did that also go out?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything electrical went out.
Okay. Do you by any chance have shortwave or CB radio in the truck?
I've got a two-way radio in it, yeah.
Did you try using that?
Yeah, it was off because when it's real quiet, that thing's got a humming sound to it, and there wasn't a sound there.
Yeah, okay. Now, did you use it at any time right after your experience?
No.
Okay. And there were no major mechanical defects to the truck other than the fact that the engine or the electrical system went out?
We haven't been able to find anything. We have been worried that the engine was hot, from working it, and they shut it down in that big a hurry. So it's possible it could have done something to it, but we haven't been able to find anything yet, as of yet anyway.
Okay. And have you seen anything else in the sky since this experience?
No, I haven't.
All right. What was your opinion of these objects prior to your experience?
I was kind of a halfway believer in them. I figured there's got to be somebody in this world smarter than what we are that can do this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And this is my opinion of them, but I'm a firm believer in it.
Okay. Did you have any strange feelings or any premonition type feelings prior to the time that you saw the second object?
No.
Okay, now if we send you a questionnaire, would you take the time to fill it in?
Yeah, I've more or less been trying to just quit. I'm getting so damn tired of everybody. I'm pretty well known in the valley here, and everybody I see, I gotta explain it to them,
Oh, I see.
I'm getting kind of tired of that, and I just kind of like to try to forget about the whole damn thing as much as I can.
Uh-huh. Have you had any other agencies calling you on this?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Well, we did too. There was some, I forget what they call themselves, Area Phenomena Incorporated or something like that.
Oh, I see. Where were they located?
Oh, just a minute. Honey, where was that other outfit from that called about this? Yeah, they've got a branch here in Kalispell that they've got members here that a research committee on aerial phenomena.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's not a federal agency or anything like that.
Right. Well, sir, we sure appreciate your talking to us on this matter, and if you happen to see anything in the future, well, we'd like to hear from you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You betcha.
Goodbye. I'm calling for phenomena research in Seattle, Washington, and we understand that you had made 2 sightings of unidentified flying objects on the night of October 31st and November 1st.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get a description of your experience of both of those things.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, just as it happened to you right from the beginning.
Well, going over around about 8:15 that night, that Friday night, I was over there by Clearwater Junction, and I saw what appeared to be an airplane dropping down behind the mountain.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately stopped there at the junction and turned it into the Deer Lodge County Sheriff. And they sent some planes out looking for it. And they couldn't find anything, I found out. But on my way over, after I got to thinking about it, it was moving too fast to be an airplane. So I just figured it was a meteor or something.
Yes. What did this object look like?
Well, that time I couldn't really tell. All I could see was green.
Uh-huh.
Green light. Flashing.
Just all green?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea how far away it was?
Well, it was approximately between 5 and 7 miles, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was coming back from Helena, I was over northwest of Helena a little ways, and just starting to pull the pass, getting ready to pull the pass. I was about a mile from the bottom of it. And everything on the truck was working fine, no problems whatsoever, and all of a sudden my lights went out, and my engine shut off. Well, this will happen if a battery cable breaks on one of the things. So I just, started coasting to a stop. And then this damn thing come over the top of me and hovered, he stopped about 100 yards ahead of me there and 50 feet off the ground. That's where they held me.
Just right over it was hovering right over the highway?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, would you give us a description of that object as detailed as you can?
Well, it's approximately 50 feet in diameter, and I'd say 25 or 30 feet high.
Uh-huh.
It had a big bubble-like object on top and a smaller one on the bottom, which is where the real bright white searchlight was that they had on me.
Oh, they were directing a beam of light on you?
Yeah.
Okay, what color was that beam?
White.
Okay.
And then on the outside edge, there's 4 green flashing lights, which I assume is the same thing that I saw at Clearwater Junction 4 hours before.
And the object just remained stationary over the highway at all times?
Yeah.
Approximately how long was it there?
I'd say 5 minutes.
Okay, now when it left, did it take off with just a casual motion, or was it high speed?
Oh, real high speed.
I see.
Faster than anything I've ever seen move.
And how far away do you figure it was from you?
100 yards.
Okay. Did you hear any sound?
Real loud turbine-like sound, like big turbines on a plane or something of this order.
Okay.
But there was no turbulence from it.
Okay, now, what color was the object itself?
I'd say a shiny gray or silver color.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't see it too good on account of the light shining in my eyes.
I see, okay.
But before they turned that on to me, it appeared to be a silverish gray or in that.
And we understand that you had made 2 sightings of unidentified flying objects on the night of October 31st and November 1st.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get a description of your experience of both of those things.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, just as it happened to you right from the beginning. I'm calling for phenomena research in Seattle, Washington, and we understand that you had made 2 sightings of unidentified flying objects on the night of October 31st and November 1st.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get a description of your experience.
Arizona?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of was there any information over the television or the news media, the papers or anything of this thing they sighted up here?
Taylor, Arizona?
Well, it's up on the rim, what they call the rim country, which is Hebrew. I'll give it to you in quote. I thought you should know about it.
Fine.
Now, there were 7 men up there about 3 days ago. They were all coming back just after dark. They were cutting wood and they were coming in. They saw this bright light, this object that looked to all 7 of them, at the time there were 7, like a saucer or some unidentified object. Well, Ralph Anderson's a very good friend of mine, and his brother Travis is a young man about 22. And he's always made the statement around the country to everyone that knows him that he'd like to have some way of making communication with them.
Yes.
And they were talking about this kind of a thing, ironically, at the time, and they saw this light about 20 foot hovering from the ground, and before they actually stopped their truck, Travis jumped out of the car and ran up underneath of this thing, if you can imagine. How many yards away, I don't know. That won't. But he ran up underneath of it with his hands in the air as a helpless or friendly gesture. At the time he done this, the other 6 men, and these are pretty good local boys. They're not just, they were sober too.
Yes.
And bottom of this craft, whatever it was, and at that time it hit him, and of course he crumpled and fell. Now the rest of them were just, like anyone else would be. I guess they were terrified, and so they started their vehicle up and drove the other way on that rim road for several miles until they regained their wits. They came back a few minutes later, and there was no sign of anything except as they were departing, as they were entering the area where this happened, they did see this thing, this object, moving across the sky. Now, this has been publicized through the KPHO media over television, and I suppose the radio, and all the other channels have got this. Sheriff Gillespie and Holbrook and many, many other search deputies, and the man is gone. They've checked it out. There's radiation there in this spot. They don't know. Ralph told me that it varied. There was some fairly heavy, and then it was light also. Yes. But what would it mean?
Well, that's hard to say.
But this is really true. Now, I can, like I said, if you wanted to confirm this, you could call, what is it, Marlon Gillespie? Call Ralph Anderson. This is the man's brother who vanished. Ralph Anderson's a good friend of mine, and I suggested they do this today. But he said that they had some men in the Tucson, Flagstaff and Tucson area that were coming out. But I read this article in your book here, and I felt that it probably is by most, the far most experienced relating to this type of research on this thing. Ralph called me back about 2:30 today. He was going out there. They are going out again here in search, air and ground search. They're going to make a last-ditch effort attempt on it for 48 continual hours. Ralph said at the time he called he was shortly planning on leaving and would not be back until whatever time this 48 hours could develop in.
Uh-huh.
But my wife's highly concerned. She said, is there a possibility that thing could have took that man or disintegrated him? And who knows?
Now, what was that man's name again who's missing?
The man's name missing is Travis Walton, W-A-L-T-O-N. This has been well publicized throughout the entire state of Arizona. It's been on every channel. We catch it on the 6 o'clock news. It's been on the 10 o'clock news, and it happened Thursday night.
Has this been published in any of the papers you know of?
I don't know about the papers, my friend, but it's certainly been in the... I think my wife just said it has been in the paper.
Okay.
In fact, it's been a headliner. The first day it happened, that night when the boys came back without Travis Walton, Ralph called me about 3 o'clock in the morning and told me what had happened, and he was leaving upon that. After the phone call to me then, they were going out there. The next day they had a search party of 55 men. They turned up nothing except radiol, and they did find radiation in that area. At that spot, in fact.
Yes.
If you want to call him or call me, I'll give you my name and number, but I don't think it'd be important for my name. But I'm just concerned about the thing, and if you're a sharpshooter on a thing, I'd like to see somebody do something about it.
Okay.
It happened about, 35 miles? Oh, it's about 35 miles from right here at our home where I'm calling you from.
Okay. And what was the date of this incident again?
Pardon?
What was the date of the incident?
Well, it was Thursday.
Thursday, okay.
Thursday night, I'd say shortly after dark. That's when the 7 men at that time were leaving in their truck, and they spotted this spacecraft or unidentified object hovering just some 20 foot or so off the ground. And at that time, Travis had been talking about this, and the whole country knows this. He's always wanted to communicate with these people, I believe this or not. And before they ever got the truck stopped, he ran out there underneath that thing with his hands stretched up in the air as a gesture of friendliness or helpness or something. And then this bluish-like ray of light projected from the bottom of that craft and silhouetted him completely, and then he just crumpled, and that's when the other 6 boys just panicked, and they left for a few minutes. They said they didn't know exactly how long. They came back, and there was no sign of anything other than the fact of the visual sighting. Again, they saw this leaving.
We sure appreciate your
I
calling.
would mention one thing. All of these other men, included that were at this sighting witnessing this, have all agreed to At the first of the week, they're all going to take a lie detector test. Probably in Holbrook and Mullen Gillespie's at the courthouse there to verify and substantiate this.
And that would be verified by Ralph Anderson?
Ralph Anderson is Travis's brother, and Ralph would be the best man to call I know about